right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 2024 Springboard Informational Session. This is the first time that we've done this. My name is Shante Jordan. I am the NSDA Tournament Service Manager, and joining me is my colleague.
Hi, I'm Eli Woody. I'm the Tournament Services Coordinator.
Awesome. And we are happy if you are joining us live or if you will watch this later. We hope to share a lot of information with you regarding the Springboard Series, all that it entails, and any opportunities for coaches to join us to learn more about Springboard and learn more about content that you're interested in. So I'm going to start sharing my screen, and we will take it from here. All right. So Springboard was created and funded by the Julia Burke Foundation in order to grant more opportunities for communities that may not necessarily have access to in-person tournaments. It is considered to be, and hopefully we have built it so, to be a consistent practice opportunity. It's very low pressure, it's focused on learning, and it's an opportunity to allow many students who have no experience in speech or debate to enter to compete one practice round 4 times a month or a little bit less than that. And hopefully they get practice and then they can go out and have more confidence to compete or join us for more springboards as the year progresses. So the structure of the Springboard series is as follows. We do mostly scrimmages, and typically we've done about 24 scrimmages a year. This year there'll be a few less because we're adding a few more learning components. Those learning components will be coach webinars and coach office hours for any new coach or any coach that's interested in learning more about Springboard or any other content in terms of speech events, learning how to run a team, learning how to host a tournament, etc. And then the capstone. We do one capstone per season based upon scrimmages. And so this year that will be in November, and we'll talk more about that later. And again, at the bottom of all of the slides, you will see the website that you can go and learn more and get access to registering for the webinars and or signing up for office hours in the next couple of weeks. All right, so we'll start by talking about Springboard scrimmages. So the way that every Springboard works is we will typically have up to 4 evenings per month on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Those are definitely the days that we will host Springboard competitions. It is 1 round, typically preset for speech and debate, and then there is 1 2-hour session for Congress. In the past, we've had about a 2.5-hour session of Congress. We've cut that to 2 hours starting this year. And all events begin at 6 p.m. Central Time. And so it is important that you pay attention to the schedule so that you know if you're on the West Coast, that means that you're starting at 4 p.m. And if you're on the East Coast, that means that you're starting at 7 p.m. When we have live springboards, so we do live springboards and async springboards. And what that means is all debate events are always live. As you can see, we offer Congress, Policy, Lincoln Douglas, Public Forum, BQ, World Schools. And we have open and rising star divisions in each of those, assuming that those categories make based upon entry numbers. When we do live events, that means that everything is live speech events. And as you can see, there's no double entry in those events, but we do allow and host a dramatic interp, humorous interp, poi, original oratory, info, prose, poetry, and duo, where the competitors have to be in the same room competing at the same time. And we offer mixed extemp during the live speech events. And when speech is asynchronous, we offer most of those same events. With the exception, we add original spoken word poetry and pro-con challenge as well as storytelling. When it's asynchronous, students can enter as many events as they'd like, as long as they upload videos for each of those events. We will likely do between two live events and 2 async events each month, beginning in October, and or a little less than that beginning in October, and then moving to a full 4 or so later in the fall semester. All right, in terms of judging, the requirements for judging, is if you have a debate team or a debate entry, you get 2 entries per 1 judge. So you need 1 judge to cover 2 entries in the debate events. If you are entering a competitor in speech or Congress, you would need 1 judge per 5 entries in either speech and Congress. And if you're looking for judges in terms of the Rising Star Division, we do allow any junior or senior with at least 250 Honor Society points to judge in that particular division. They cannot judge open, but if they have at least 250 Honor Society points, they are welcome to judge the Rising Star Division. In terms of what we're looking for judges, and we'll talk more about this later, we want to make sure that you are giving good feedback and useful feedback to the competitors. So we require that all judges write written feedback on the ballots, and we'll talk specifically about that and what that looks like shortly. And we require that all judges complete the multicultural competency judge training, which is linked on the website, as well as the Springboard scrimmage page of the website as well. And honestly, we just want you as a judge to help students grow and get better so that they feel comfortable competing in speech and debate, which will allow them hopefully to continue to compete in speech and debate. In terms of Springboard in general, everything is free. There's no charge. There are no forms to fill out. Every school can enter up to 8 entries per event, and those will be waitlisted. And then there's also no award ceremony, and we will email out in the final email that we send out at the conclusion of each Springboard, a link to digital certificates if you or your students are looking for those. We will say that there will be one minor change in terms of judging this year. So we're hoping that every school that enters competitors in Springboards can provide judging to cover those. Starting this year, if you cannot provide judging, we will put those entries on a wait list and hopefully have you meet the judge requirements and then take those entries off the wait list. And then if you cannot meet that judge requirement, we will offer judging, hired judging in the amount of $30 per judge for whatever event that you need covered. So that is a change from previous years, but we think that it will help us hopefully get enough judges in all events so that we don't have to cancel or combine any of them and leave any students out. All right, so our process is pretty easy in terms of joining a Springboard and entering your students and judges, etc. Typically, we would ask that you register your students. All Springboards are currently open. They opened on August 15th for entry. So all of the ones for the fall, beginning September 19th and ending in November, all of them are open for you to register now. After you register them, you would want to also enter your judges as well. And the day of competition, it literally just means that you should have everyone entered in tab room by noon Central Time. And then you'll have between noon and 3 p.m. Central Time to confirm your entry. And we'll show you what that screen looks like so that everyone is able to find that. And then everyone shows up to compete when it's time. Pretty simple, 1 round scrimmage, 1 round practice, but very beneficial as long as judges offer good feedback and everyone shows up to compete. All right, so really quickly, for coaches, everyone will need a tabroom.com account, yourself along with every student on your squad, as well as every judge that you will enter to judge during the Springboards. Everyone needs to create this account. So when you go on to tabroom.com, you will click the sign up button here and you'll get this screen. You will need to add your NSDA account email, and then you can create whatever password you'd like and then fill in all of this information. The most important thing here is to make sure that you enter an email that you can remember and that you will use continuously for Tab Room, and that the phone number you enter here is not a school phone number. It should be a personal phone number so that in the event we need to sub you in or just call you to prompt you to, finish completing registration, we want to make sure that we do not have to leave any, pertinent and important information with a school secretary, or just not get anyone if it's after hours. So please make sure that you tell students and judges, as well as yourself, to make sure that you enter a personal cell phone number there so that we can reach you. We won't necessarily call you just out of the blue, but we'll call you to make sure that either you know you have a ballot or you have omitted some information that we need in order to complete registration. Once you've done this, there are a couple other tabs down here that allows you to enter your password, confirm that password, and then your account will be set up. Once you've done that, you'll see across the top, there will be a home tab along with circuits, etc. You will want to click on the circuits tab and search for the Springboard Series, and that'll lead you to the entire calendar for the Springboards that we offer, at least to this point in the season. You can also literally just search Springboards here, and then when you find it, you can click on the calendar icon that's right next to it. So what that looks like is here. When you find the Springboard Series, you'll see the calendar over to the right, and then all you click on the calendar and it lists all of the Springboards. So we have 7 of them for the fall. The first one is September 19th, and as you can see, the rest are in October, and 3 in November after that. Once you find the calendar, you are welcome to click on any or all of these to enter your students and judges in that particular scrimmage. It'll tell you if the scrimmage is live or asynchronous as you click on the link and get ready to register. All right, a little change in terms of registration this year is that we have sort of set up the Springboard scrimmages in the same vein that we set up Nationals registration. Although it's not as detailed as Nationals registration, it'll give you a little experience in sort of signing up for the Springboard Series, which is a little bit different than signing up for most tournaments. Once you click on the scrimmage, you'll get to this page that shows you the disclaimer. You just want to make sure you read it, and then click on I understand and agree, and it'll take you to the screen to allow you to begin the process of signing up for Springboard Scrimmage 1. So what that looks like is when you get to this next screen, you're going to have to enter contact information for a coach. That coach should be someone who is going to be present, ideally during the Springboard, and that same person should have a phone number in tab room. That person should also ideally be signed up to get all tournament emails. And once you add them, let me go back really quickly. Once you add them, you can add them from the drop-down menu here, or you can add them by adding their tab room email if you have that. Once you either find their name in the list or enter their tab room email, then you want to hit add. That will take you to this following screen. It should list all the people that you've entered as your particular coach contact. When you get to this screen, none of these will be toggled. They will all be toggled to in, as in no, not on, etc. Once you figure out if you're the only person that will represent your school as the school coach, the person that will get the emails, and the person that will be on site, then you will toggle each of these buttons to yes to green. And after you do that, you want to refresh the screen, and that will get you to all the other tabs that you will need to start to register for Springboard. So again, you want to enter your name if you're the head coach and the person that's going to be responsible for getting emails and being the school contact. Plus, you're going to be available either as a sponsor doing the Springboard and they're competing at school, or you're the person that will judge on your school's behalf. Toggle these to yes and hit refresh, and then it will take you to the following screen. This is how you know that you've added a person as the coach contact and everything has been toggled. It will now show you all of the tabs across the top. So it will show you emails, it will show you your entries, or once you add entries, once you add competitors, the judges, etc. As you can see, I'm the coach contact in the test school for the NSDA. Everything is toggled, and then now, once that happens, you are welcome to either click on entries to add your entries or competitors to add them one by one, depending on how you would like to do it. I typically would just enter via entries and click over to the right to help you choose which event. So, all right, as you can see, I entered one open policy team. Kay Houghton and John Doe. It tells me that they're in because I entered them in the CX division, and it's two individuals. And if there's anything that I need to add in terms of notes, like, that one person might, have an ADA accommodation and we need to know that for some reason, and the judges need to know that for some reason, you would toggle this and probably add a note to that just so that judges can see it. No one else will be able to see it. Or if you, have a note that says like, John needs to make sure that he is the 2N. You can make that as a note, or you can just add information to signal that John is a 2N because it'll allow you to choose that as well. So once you have that entry, if you have speech entries, then you'll click on the entries tab again, and over to the right, you'll see choose an event. You can choose, dramatic interp, and then add whichever student that you want in dramatic interp after that. And each of them will start to show in this list of entries. This is a CX entry, and then you would see a DI entry and so forth. After you do that, you will need to add judges for each event that you have students entered in. So since I only have one policy team, I only owe one judge. So when you first go to click on the judges tab and you go to this page, you'll see the event that you have an entry in, and that event is not covered because you've not entered a judge yet. So it'll be in red. Everything else, where either you've covered the judging in it or you don't have entries, that will remain green. So you would click on policy and then make sure you either choose here who that particular judge will be, or you can just go up to this column here, scroll down, find the particular person that you want as a judge and click add judge. That person will show up in this list here. And what you will see after that is that it will take you to a secondary screen if you want to add any particular details about your judge. So for example, if you're like, oh, my judge is a lay judge and they only prefer students speaking slowly, you might want to make a note in here so that if students are, if for some reason we are looking at that, we'll say, okay, well, we know that that person ideally is a lay judge, and hopefully they have set this in their judge paradigm on tab room as well. If there's a permanent judge note that you want to add here, like your judge may require ADA accommodations, you can enter that in this slot, and it will never go away unless you delete it. So every time that person judges for us or judges for someone else, it'll be a permanent note on their entry. And then if anything else, we don't necessarily have ADA rooms because it's all online. If it's a student who is judging in the Rising Star Division, you want to click this little box to let us know that they have at least 250 Honor Society points and they're a junior or senior. And you want to make sure that their tab room email along with their phone number is all correct. And then you hit save details. You don't necessarily have to enter anything on the screen if you don't want, but just make sure if you are having a student judge in the Rising Star Division that you definitely click this to let us know that that student is a Rising Star judge and not going to judge in the open division against students that they may compete against later in the season. All right, once you've added the details, you will see the next screen after you hit save, you'll see the judge name, and it'll tell you whether or not they have a tab room account that's linked. If they do, it'll show a green check. If they do not, it'll show a red X. And all that means is that you will need to link them, i.e., go into your judge list, go to their name, and then add the email address that they're using for tab room, and then that'll link them into being a judge and being able to access the ballots when they're judging Springboard. And as you can see, everything over here now is green because you've added the one policy judge that you needed. If you're entering, obviously, Congress, if you have 3 entries, you'll need one judge to cover those 3 entries. You get up to 5 Congress entries. And same for any speech event, you get up to 5 entries in speech before you need a second judge. All right, the last thing that I think has confused some people in the past is what happens on the day of registration. So you have, again, up until 12 noon Central Time to get all of your entries finalized, add all of your judges, drop all of your drop whatever students said they won't be able to compete, etc. At 12 noon Central Time, the online registration will open in order for you to confirm your entries, the competitors, as well as the judges. You will also get an email from the tournament that says, confirm your registration between 12 and 3 p.m. Central Time. When you go into the tournaments on the main page of your high school, you will see existing tournament registrations here. Once you see this, you want to go all the way over to the right and look for an orange box. When you click on that box, it'll allow you to look at all of your entries, all of your judges, and either confirm that they're right, i.e. you hit save, and yes, you're the contact person in case someone needs to get in contact with you, or if they have a question. And then when you save that, you'll get an orange check that says you have checked in, online registration is done. You need to do nothing else other than show up when the pairing or the email blast comes out to you or the notification comes out to you, browser notification. So please make sure, and most people seem to, at least have some issue with finding this button. This button will be there between 12 and 3 p.m. Central Time. So if you're on the East Coast and you hit 12 p.m., it will not be there for another hour. I think that also confuses people as well. And if you're on the West Coast, same thing in terms of time difference. So just make sure that you're paying attention to what will be 12 Central Time. It will be 10 a.m. on the West Coast, 1 p.m. on the East Coast, etc. So we wanted to offer what this box looked like because that has in the past caused a lot of people to, email in and say, we just don't see that box. So we want you to see what that looks like. But you will get an email to let you know that registration is open and to confirm your entries between 12 and 3. All right, so really quickly before we move to judges, important things about technology and scrimmages. In the past, Chrome was the only browser that you could use for NSDA campus. All scrimmages are held on NSDA campus via tabroom.com. NSDA campus now works on any browser. However, we still recommend that you use Chrome because it is most reliable given how NSDA campus was originally set up. But it should work now on all browsers. The next thing that should also work now is that in the past, a lot of school districts blocked NSDA campus because of the port 10,000 UDP. Now it should work even if port 10,000 UDP is blocked. So what we recommend is that before the season starts, before the first scrimmage, that you all try to do go into a test room, try to, test out your technology to make sure that even if your school still has NSDA campus blocked because of port 10,000 UDP, that you can still access NSDA campus and tap room. The time to do that is before the scrimmages, hopefully weeks and days before that. But if not, and you still have some trouble, here is an access to IT specifics that you can share with your technology department school if you think that your school is still blocked and you may have some issues. Again, these are the domains that have been whitelisted. And then here are all the ports that are typically blocked at certain schools. It should work and bypass that now, but if not, please share this with your tech department. And also there are resources on the NSDA website that will help you navigate working through technology issues so that you can get prepared for the scrimmages. All right, now Eli will talk about the judge component of the scrimmages.
Okay, so if you are judging for the Springboard scrimmages, there are pretty easy steps for you to go through before it's time for you to jump in and start judging. The one thing that we require that you complete beforehand training-wise is the multicultural competency judge training. It's part of our judge accreditation program. There are a lot of other courses in the judge accreditation program as well. You can go take those extra if you would like to. They're very informative, but the multicultural competency judge training is the one that is required for the Springboard scrimmage. You will also need a computer with camera and audio. So make sure in advance, if you have a computer that is kind of buggy with the webcam going in and out or the audio not working, try to get one or borrow one from someone that has consistent and working camera and audio. And when you have those two things done, you are ready to judge. So here are some general judging reminders. When you are on Tab Room and you are ready to go and you have Tab Room pulled up in front of you, you want to hit Start Round on tabroom.com on all of your assignments. That lets us know that you are here, you are present, you are ready, and you're going to rock and roll through Springboard with us. You also need to keep your camera on, but stay muted while competitors are speaking. I know it's really easy to just turn your camera off, maybe even try to multitask and do something else while students are competing. We're asking you to be present and stay focused for this one round of competition. This will really help our students learn and grow in this activity. Also, stay in your competition room until your ballot is submitted. In case we need to pop in to chat with you about something, it's a lot easier to find you if you are in your competition room. Also, please make sure that you write feedback on ballots before they are submitted. So it might be easy for you to just keep track of ranking students in speech, for example, as they go, and then write notes or longer notes about the performances afterward. That's great. Just know that your ballot cannot be submitted until each competitor has feedback. And that same thing is true for debate as well. And if you need to or want to talk to the students, like give a little debrief after the debate round, I don't know what you would be doing in speech, but if for any reason you need to talk to the students, you need to submit your ballot first. That helps us wrap this tournament up. We like to keep things moving on time. And if you need any help throughout all of that process, the email for you to write into is info@speechanddebate.org. So here are some examples for writing feedback on ballots. This is one of the things that's kind of the most daunting for especially first-time judges. They may think that they are not qualified to judge because they don't know what to write to the students. So the three things that we like to point out to judges is that your feedback should be specific, it should be actionable, and it should be kind. For specific comments, instead of writing something like, your arguments were strong, try something like, the argument about the environmental impacts of space exploration was strong. So you pointed to something specific that a debater said in the round because you were paying attention, and you made a comment on that. Another example is, instead of, I loved the kindergarten student you acted out, instead you could say, the way you portrayed the kindergarten student with a stuffy nose was very realistic. So this would be for speech. You'd be pointing to something that a student competitor acted out specifically instead of just making a general comment. Under actionable feedback, instead of saying something along the lines of, improve your argument about how nuclear weapons risk accidents, instead try, consider using historical examples like the Fukushima disaster to strengthen your argument about nuclear accidents. So instead of basically just telling a student to get better about a specific thing that you have pointed out, maybe give them an indication about how they could get better doing that. Instead of, you stumbled over your words often, try something like, continue to work on memorization during the conclusion of your speech to make delivery smoother, because that tells the student where specifically they need to hone in on polishing up their memorization. And then last, it's important to be kind. Creating a supportive and encouraging environment can help students' growth and confidence. The opposite of that is also true. If you are not kind, it can discourage a student from staying in this activity. Instead of, your arguments were embarrassing, maybe try something like, you're a great speaker. Keep working on developing your arguments and you'll do even better. Because a lot of the students who are competing in Springboard scrimmages, this is their first time, or they're easing back into it. Maybe they took a break from speech and debate. Not everyone is competing at high caliber tournaments every single weekend. And then last, instead of, you were the worst speaker in the round, so I ranked you last, try, I can't wait to watch you continue to improve, because really that's what this activity is about, is gathering helpful feedback, practicing, and then getting better, because no one's an amazing speaker on their first speech ever. So here's an example of what you would see in Tab Room if you are judging speech. On the left-hand side of the screen here, what you will see is what is actually going to be shown to you on the right-hand side of your tab room when you are logged in on tab room. On the right side of the screen, you will see some buttons on tab room that will say judging. You can click your current ballots and panels, and it will show you your current ballots. And that's what's over here on the right-hand side of the screen. So it looks like you were assigned Miss Burt to judge DI round 2, and that is at 10 a.m. Central, which will not be a Springboard scrimmage. And you can acknowledge your assignment and go to your room. That's the spot that you're looking for, the spot that trips people up or leads them to ask, what do I do when I get to tab room? Into this little section that you see on the left right here that says current ballots and panels. That will take you to where you need to be.
And real quick before Eli continues, this green acknowledge assignment button will likely say start round. So just remember to click start round, and that way it'll take you to where you can go right in, start judging.
Very good. So this is your ballot. There's a lot of text for you to read, but it's important up at the top. So I would check this out before you tell your students to start competing. There's a statement up at the top of the ballot here about inherent bias that is really important, and then some information about time, rankings, a grace period, and then what exactly you should be looking for. This is really helpful information. The students won't mind if you take a couple minutes real quick to read that. They will want you to know that information before you start judging the round. So don't feel like you're rushed. Take your time to read through that before you then maybe you open a Word document and write some notes as each performer goes. But the order that you see listed here is the order of who will be performing in your speech round. So the first speaker is from NSDA test, high school, code AB. And then the next speaker, speaking second, is NSDA test, high school, code DC. And if this was a live speech round, you would be saying that one at a time and letting the students perform. If it was asynchronous, each of them would have a little video button for you to click and watch each video. When it comes to judging, everybody does things maybe a little bit differently. If I'm judging a tournament online, like to keep a Word document open and type the notes as I'm watching each performance, so that I can just cut and paste into my ballot in the comment section when I'm done, which means I can do the ranks here on this screen and have my ballot ready for me to just paste feedback later. There's a timer up on the right-hand side if you need that. Like I said, the details about judging speech times are in this little paragraph at the top of your ballot, so it definitely wouldn't be 4 minutes. But up to you about whether you feel comfortable timing the competitors or not. Absolutely not required. This is the text that I just mentioned earlier. It's a little bit bigger for you to read here if you want to take a second to read it now. It will look a little bit different for each of the speech events. It will definitely look different in debate, but take the time when your round is about to start to read this first. And you can even tell your competitors, I'm going to read the top of my ballot here real quick before we get going. They will love to hear that because they're hearing that they're getting an engaged judge, and then you can get going. This is the order of who is speaking in your room, like I was mentioning earlier. And like I said, in a live speech setting, you can one at a time. You will, at the beginning of the round, say, all right, our first competitor is from NSDA test, high school, code AB. Or you can even just say our first competitor is code AB, and they will know who that is. Every student has a code assigned to them. Then when that performance is over, you can say thank you for your performance, and our next competitor is code DC, and just keep going. If a student happens to no-show, let's say that your fifth speaker doesn't show up, you can just click the no-show box there on the right-hand side, and then just keep moving. And then at the very end, you'll click Submit Ballot. That will bring you down here to the bottom. So for this screen right here, where it says Comments Go To, that is a drop-down menu that you can change to give your specific feedback to each specific performer. So like I mentioned earlier, I like to keep a Word document open as I'm watching each performance. So for each code, I would click that code on the drop-down menu, paste my comments, click the little save feedback button right there, and then I could type my rankings on the list above and click submit my ballot and be done. This is what it looks like to judge debate. Very similar. If you show up in tab room and think to yourself, oh my gosh, where do I go? What do I do? Like over here on the left, that will be the right side of your tab room. You'll click the current ballots and panels button, and that will take you to your current judging assignment, which looks like Miss Burt is now judging LD round 1. The little room button with the video icon takes you to that room. That is a button to go to. And then, of course, the acknowledge assignment button will say start round. Very similar here. We're looking at a ballot again. The details of the instructions at the top of the ballot are different, like I said, in debate. Again, do take the time to read them. It's important. The more that you judge, the more familiar you will be with this, the less you will have to read about the details across the top. And then since we did this previously, I'll stop talking here because we'll get a bigger picture on the next couple screens. There are timers up on the right-hand side again. Again, the students will very likely time themselves in debate. So down at the bottom of your ballot in debate, this is what it looks like. You will have an affirmative speaker or an affirmative team, and you will have a negative speaker or a negative team. And your job here, instead of ranking them, is to assign points to them. And you can see above this little chart or this little table what the point rules are. So there's a range of 20 to 30, no ties, and you can use increments of 0.5. So if it was a really close round and the AF did well, you could give them a 29.5. And if they beat the negative in your mind, you could give the negative 29. So that would be a close round. Higher points are better. And then, of course, you would choose the winner on the little drop-down menu, which would be that code ES, who was the affirmative, and you can submit your ballot. I will say what's probably coming on the next screen is what the feedback looks like. And similarly to what I said about in speech, I like to keep a Word document open about my feedback throughout the round. That is also true in debate. So as each debater speaks multiple times throughout the room, or throughout the round, try to take some feedback throughout the round that you can then cut and paste later onto your ballot before you hit submit ballot. This is the bottom. So the reason for decision in debate is general. It explains why you voted the way that you did. Why did the affirmative win that round that you just watched? So they might have made a bunch of arguments about the economy and made a bunch of arguments about education that the negative team either did not answer or did not adequately answer. That might be a really good decision for why the affirmative team won. And the other two tabs that are listed here for you on your ballot are for each of the individual debaters. So that's where you can take that feedback from your Word document and paste it onto each specific debater's tab, and then you can click Save Feedback. All right, this is what it looks like to judge Congress. This is going to feel very similar. Again, where you go in tab room to find out what is my ballot, what am I judging, where do I go? You'll have the right-hand side yellow and blue buttons on tab room. You'll click under the judging section, current ballots and panels. And it looks like Miss Burt is judging Congress session 1. She will click the little video button to go there and then when she gets there, she'll click start round. All right, so in Congress, you will have a whole bunch of kids in a room, and your job throughout the round is to give feedback on each speech that was given. So you will definitely need to keep a Word document or similar open as each speaker is going, because you will want to paste that feedback later. Alternatively, you do have the option to select who is speaking and then give that feedback right here on your Congress ballot for your per speech points. But I think it's a little bit easier to have it physically over here on the Word document that you have the student who spoke, what side they were. You can write to yourself whether they were speaking in favor or in opposition of a piece of legislation that they were on. And then you can write a couple sentences of feedback that then you can come to this page, select who was my speaker. It was student number 72, who will have an actual name. And then you can paste your feedback about how they did on that speech. And that's what this looks like right here. There's a section in the middle for you about what the topic or what the piece of legislation was about. So this student 11 spoke about sustainable technology. That's something that you will be typing in there. So make sure when you're taking notes about students speaking, you're writing who the student was, like what their name and code was, what the topic was, and then what side they spoke on. So here, the button for you to click is, were they speaking for the bill or against the bill? And then the section below is the spot for you to paste your comments. And then on a scale of 1 to 6 at the bottom, you get to rate the speech. Higher points are better quality speeches. All right. Then we have reached the end of your congressional debate session. All of your student competitors are listed. You get to rank them on a scale of 1 to however many of them there are in the room. So the student who did the best gets ranked first. The student who has a lot of work to do or is just in a really tough room of a bunch of really good competitors would get ranked 14th. And then there's students in between. And then you click submit ballot. All right. There is a place where you can learn a lot more about judging speech debate in Congress. And I alluded to it earlier. We have a handful of free training modules with details about judging each event. It is called our Judge Accreditation Program. It is brand new. We worked really hard on it. It works great. We rolled it out for the national tournament this year and got a lot of great feedback about it. The link to find that is just a slash after our main website and then judge-accreditation.
All right, thanks, Eli. So as we prepare to wrap this up, the second component of the Springboard Series is the capstone events. Like I said earlier, we will do just one. This past year, it was in January, and this year it will be November 16th, just on Saturday. So it'll be a full day of competition. And at the end, the individuals that do fairly well in each of these events will get sent medals based upon the address and information that you send to us after we conclude the capstone. And then the other tournament that is associated kind of with Springboard is the last chance qualifier. It's the last opportunity after district tournaments to qualify to nationals. And that will be the weekend of April 24th through the 26th. 2025, and that'll also be exclusively online, but that'll be a 3-day competition where debate events will start on Thursday, and then all other events will start on Friday, and then we will conclude that on Saturday evening. But these are the two other components that we will have in addition to scrimmages. All right, and then the last component will be the Springboard Learning component. And new this year, we will do some coach webinars and office hours with the NSDA staff. And so our first webinar will be Thursday, September 26th at 7 p.m. Central Time. And that webinar will center around big questions. And then on Thursday, October 24th, we'll have the second webinar. And that webinar will center around how to be a parliamentarian in congressional debate. And then pretty soon, you will see an office hours tab on the Springboard website There's currently a webinar section, and you'll see an office hours section pretty soon, which will allow you to sign up for 20-minute sessions with any NSDA staff that's in the competition and events department. We will address anything from learning how to coach, what it means to be a new coach, to how to, leverage your administration to support debate, along with any type of speech and debate content that you are interested in learning. It's for new coaches and any other experienced coach if you want to come along and ask questions, but it's a 20-minute period, 20-minute time that's devoted to you, where you can ask any questions that you have with the particular person that you sign up for or sign up with. All right, so again, thank you all for attending the webinar. And for those of you that cannot attend, this will be processed and uploaded to the Springboard website. But if you have any questions in the meantime, as you can see, my email is there along with Eli's email, and you're welcome to shoot us an email or email info@speechanddebate.org, which will likely also get to us as well. So thank you again for joining. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thank you.